It's great having you with me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 145. Outlook. Perspective changes everything. Wow, doesn't it though? I knew a young student who had, I would say, minor to moderate autism. And so he was very introspective and not a terribly social person. He kept sharing with me how someone was bullying him and so mean to him and always terrible to him. And I knew the other student that he was having issue with. And I told him, I said, that's not the way I see that student. I have a hard time imagining that. It took about 6 months of counseling for his perspective to change because of his autism and also because he was a person with a kind of a serious nature. He couldn't really understand the other kids teasing or joking around. The other kid wasn't being mean in any way. He wasn't saying anything derogative or acting terrible. It was just the student's perception that someone was bullying him and someone was being really mean. Once his perception changed, he didn't necessarily get to be really good at teasing back or goofing around, but he did understand the other person and they got along so much better. The reason why it's a really big deal for us to address this topic is because all of us color our own world. I had a great conversation with someone the other day, and they said, this person, they're having this trouble and this trouble and this trouble, and they're causing their own trouble. I looked at them, I said, you do understand that most of us cause most of our own trouble? And they laughed for a minute, and then they kind of got thoughtful for a minute, and they said, yeah, that's kind of true, isn't it? Oh dear, yes, that's kind of true. We do often cause our own trouble. That's not a joke, sadly. We just don't see it, but often we cause our own trouble. All right, so perception does change everything. Let me prove it to you. Let me show you what we're talking about. All right, if you looked at this portion of the plant or the pot, you would describe it to someone as having a central orange colored flower that is somewhat circular with pointy petals. That's an accurate perception because of where you stand. That is what you see. The person who is standing on another side would say that they're seeing a bluish greenish looking plant, actually two of them side by side with longer spiked petals. The person who was standing here would tell you that they are seeing kind of a yellowed green flower that is short, and it also has rounded petals with a little bit of a spike on the end. And the person who is standing here would tell you that they're seeing a green plant with round shaped leaves. There are no spikes. There is no orange. There is no yellow. There is no gray or bluish green. If someone were tall enough and standing here, they would tell you they're seeing a bunch of spikes with little bits of purple toward the ends, and on each of those spikes are numbers of little pokey protrusions. And the question becomes, who is right? The correct answer is everyone, because they're really describing what they are seeing. And the answer is also no one, because no one can see everything. Oh, I'm begging you to get this point from me because it is so vital for you. Where you stand when you look at a situation and where the other person in a relationship, whether that's your mate or your child, your friend, your mother or your dad, one of your siblings, your coworker, your boss, neither of you are seeing the same thing when you're looking at a situation. It is such a vitally important piece of information for life, and it is for your children as well. Your outlook of, oh, I know nobody really likes me. I know that at my work, my boss is out to get me. I know my mom always liked my sister best. She doesn't really like me much. Even if there is a grain of truth there, if that's not really the whole truth, but you keep telling yourself a very specific message, you're going to live out of that message. That's what you're going to believe, and that's your outlook. That's how you're going to act and behave. Someone who actually believes the whole world is out to get them and no one likes them and everyone hates them, they're going to stand with a very resistant, defensive posture in life. Oh no, that's not what I said. That's not what I meant. That's not what you said. That's not what you meant. That's not what happened. I mean, defensive, defensive, defensive. Wow. Those people get exhausting. And I don't mean after a while, I mean after 3 minutes, they're exhausting. People who are mildly paranoid, and all of us can have a dose of it. I'm serious about that when I say that to you. Oh, I think the world is out to get me. You have a whole run of terrible bad things go on, and some of those are interpersonal. Yeah, you can develop a little bit of personal paranoia. But if that's your real outlook, everyone's out to get me. Everyone's trying to cause me trouble. Everyone's trying to rip me off. Wow, does that ever color your outlook? And it makes it really challenging for you to live in the world or have good and healthy relationships or even get along very well with other people. Your outlook has huge impact on your life, on your work, on your relationships, and most especially on your family, the people who are closest to you. Your children really need to understand that. They do. You have this junky outlook, honey, everybody's going to be having trouble. I've explained this before. I'm going to repeat it. Your kid wakes up and he's having a really bad day. I don't care if he's 5 or 10 or 15. And he comes out in the kitchen and he's throwing stuff around and he's all kinds of grumpy and his attitude is just like all over the place. You can look right at him and say, do you know what? You may not have control over all of the circumstances. You might even have a reason in light of some of the things that have gone on recently that you have a junky attitude, but you are not going to blast your lousy attitude all over this household all day long. You need to go into your room and you need to deal with yourself. You really do. You need to change your outlook. And when you're ready to come back to the family and act at least halfway pleasantly and cooperate with others and work on what's going on with you, we're going to be thrilled to see you. But in the meantime, while you're going to try to act like a jerk and have this really junky attitude going on, yeah, you aren't going to ruin my day. You're not going to ruin the day of your brothers and sisters. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Go in your room. Let me know when you're better. That's very legitimate as a parent because we have control over our own attitude. Once more, in case you didn't hear me earlier, I'm going to prove this to you. So your kid really made you mad. He wrote on the wall with magic marker. He flushed Legos down the toilet. I mean, it's been like the most horrific morning of your life, right? You're just ranting and raving through the house, and the phone rings. Hello? And it's your pastor. He goes, how are you? Oh, I'm really doing great. Things are good. I'm so glad you called. Yeah, thanks for checking up on me. Thank you so much. That was so nice. You hang up. You go right back to it. See, you have full control over your attitude. I mean, for real, you do. Let me prove it to you again. All right, so you're raging through the house. It's been a really bad day. You're just frustrated out of your mind, and someone knocks on the door. You go open the door. Oh, it's your mother-in-law. You haven't seen her in a while. She came to give you a surprise visit. I mean, you're like, oh, hi, nice to see you. Come on in. Yeah, you get a hold of yourself just like that. Don't tell me you don't have control over your attitude. Yes, you do. Don't lie to yourself and tell me that. So don't give that junky lie to your kids. You got control over your attitude. You better grab a hold of it and get it. Perspective or perception can be very long term. We pick up on cues and we think it's reinforcing what we really believe. All right, so say you're having a kind of a long-standing difficulty or conflict with someone. You're often butting heads and you can't seem to find a place of agreement where you can come together. You're just banging heads, banging heads. whether that's your spouse over a long-term difficulty or one of your kids over a long-term problem, whom a person at work, your boss even, so you develop this real junkie attitude every day you go to work. You're doing your job, and I'm really a good employee, and you don't even see your lousy attitude anymore, much less the way it's affecting everything, including your work performance, most likely. And someone says to you, "You sure had a lousy attitude lately." Instead of going, "No, I don't. I'm just fine. They are this and they are that, and they need to." Okay, let me remind you of something. You do not have control over them. Whoever they are, you have no control over that. Honestly, to a certain extent, once your kid's 10 or 12, you don't even have tons of control over them. They are their own person. The person you have control over is right here. You have control over yourself. You have control over your own thoughts. You have control over your own attitudes and actions. This is what you have control over, and you better get a hold of it and take control over what you do have control of. And you can change, you can alter your perception. And that changes everything. No kidding. So look at the way that person is good to you. Look at the things that person does that are kind. Look at the ways that you are able to cooperate with that person. Look at the way you can resolve conflicts and challenge and difficulties together. Find the commonalities rather than all the differences and blowing them out of proportion. That's a way to change your perception. Look at it from their viewpoint. Actually sit down with them and say, "It's kind of evident that we have issues in our relationship. From where you sit, what do you think our biggest issue is? Where do we have the most difficulty in this relationship?" And really listen to them. Remember, where they are standing, what they are seeing is not exactly the same as where you are standing and what you are seeing. Do your best to see it from their vantage point. Listen to what they have to say about the way they see your relationship or they see the conflict. That's a great beginning to some resolution or to some possible solutions. Again, this is about learning that your perception may be causing some of the difficulty, and you can change that. Whew. All right, how long has it been? I'm sorry. I really get going. I lose track of time.
14.
Thank you. Okay, so even with the thing, I got about one more. All right. Whew. When you can readily admit to yourself, "I'm a part of the problem," right there, that's a perceptive change. Not they're the problem. This is the problem. I'm a part of this problem. Suddenly, you could become part of the solution. It's a huge thing. And so when your child comes to you and they say, "This person is so mean, my teacher hates me, this is going on, and I'm never going to softball again because my coach is so hard on me." He doesn't talk like that to everyone else. You don't dismiss your child's concerns or emotions or even fears. You acknowledge that. I can hear that you're kind of scared or you're kind of worried or you're kind of upset about this. I hear that. Maybe there's another way to look at this that might help you out. Maybe your coach is hard on you because he really believes that you have the potential to be a great ball player. Maybe your teacher had a really bad day. Maybe your teacher's even having a rough year. Land sakes, I've seen teachers have rough years. Maybe your friend really, they still love you, but maybe you've done something that bothered them. So this could all be resolved maybe with a good conversation. If you don't feel like you're able to have that conversation by yourself, I'll be glad to go with you. I'll try to stay out of it. I'll let you do most of the talking, and I'll just be there. I'll be there as support. I'll be there to encourage you. Especially though in a situation where it's an adult and your child, you actually want to pay attention a time or so of how that interaction is going. Because maybe that teacher, maybe that coach, maybe they really are actually giving your kid a hard time. You need to pay attention to that so that as the adult, you can intervene. and say, I'm not exactly sure why you dislike my child or why you're struggling so hard with my child, but you cannot, you may not, and you will not be talking like that to my child. I'll put them into another classroom, or I'll take them to another ball team, or we're just going to walk out. You cannot mistreat my child. And even the way I see it as an adult, much less that child with their sensitivity, that's not going to go. So you do have to do that sometimes. But the basic line is working on your child's perception and your own, and taking responsibility, owning up to your own stuff, and so you can handle it and look at it and deal with it a little bit differently. Our outlook in life affects every single thing that we do, every relationship that we have, and we need to understand that we can change our perception because our perceptions affect everything. I really hope this has helped you some today. My challenge question for you today is this: how do I do at listening to the other person's perspective? That's number one. Number two is, how do I do at changing my own perception? We're all pretty resistant to change. It's not so easy, but I hope that some of the things that we have discussed today will be of help to you, both as an individual and in parenting your child and teaching them about dealing with their own perspective and their perceptions of things. Please leave me a comment or a suggestion. Feel free to ask me questions, and I will look forward to seeing you again soon on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.